Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Zoom at 8. My name is Julianne Peterson, and I am your host every Tuesday night for Zoom at 8. You know that I am your favorite lender at Old Capital Lending. You know, we are a premier provider of debt, and we really want to consult with our clients. What is the right and best use and the ability to utilize debt to make sure that we can get your business plan accomplished. That's what we do. We've been doing this for 38 years. Old Capital has closed over 7,000 loans, and that's a lot, especially when you've been working on a deal maybe 2 years. You want to be aligned with a group that can give you execution certainty that you're going to close. That's what we do. We close about $1.2 billion a year. All right. So if you are looking at a deal, you need to have your biggest and best partner, which is a lender. We are going to bring 70, 75, maybe 80% of the loan proceeds to your transaction. So I'm here to help. If you're looking at a deal, we're going to need your T12, your rent roll, the OM, which is your offering memorandum, and your underwriting. And we're going to put it into that special machine that we talked about last week. And we're going to give you feedback. It's real live feedback. It's not, high level. It is going to give you information back. So I'm here every Tuesday night to share with you 3 weeks out of the month with industry experts. And tonight, we've got one special guest tonight who's going to talk to us about data. You got to drive decisions based on data. So Ben Weiner is here with CoStar. I'm excited to hear what he has to say and to introduce you to their product. Let's get on with the show. Here's when we get involved with our industry expert. And tonight, it's like no other. I want you to understand the products that are out there that can be at your fingertips to make you smarter and make better decisions. Okay. And as I mentioned, data drives decisions. So tonight we're going to hear from Ben Weiner, who is with CoStar. He is currently based in New York City, but he was born and raised in Boston, outside of Boston. He graduated from Syracuse University with a degree in marketing and entrepreneurship. Ben works for the CoStar Group as an account executive and account manager. His role consists of supporting current CoStar clients with their business endeavors across all commercial real estate asset types and growing all of CoStar's businesses. So he primarily works with brokers, investors, property managers, and lenders to help them save time and money. Because remember, you can't make decisions on a quick amount of time. You really have to compare data sets. And so tonight we're going to hear from Ben about CoStar, some of their competitors, how you really should be using this tool to make your future better. So help me welcome tonight Ben Weiner with CoStar. Ben, how are you tonight?
I'm great. Thank you very much, Julianne. I appreciate it. How's everybody doing?
We are good. Paula is in the house, Sanjay, Hector, Lily. We are all here tonight ready
And
to listen to you. Now, listen,
awesome.
before we get started, if everybody would give all of their attention, get away from your computers, right? Give us your attention, go up to the right-hand side, go to the view, and pull down speaker view. Then you can see and give all your attention to Ben. So Ben, you're in New York City. Great place to be doing business, although you've had some real challenges with COVID. Now, if someone wanted to buy in New York, they could make some really good decisions using your product, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
what
Yeah,
we're hearing
100%.
in the news may not be the real data that you can find on CoStar. So I want to know all about your product. I know that we're going to go through 3 things at least. Okay. We're going to
Yes.
talk about the top market. We're going to talk about how to find off market deals. Like some of these assets that are going to be coming due, right? There's so much um, uh, lenders are going to be coming due, right? The deals are coming due. We want to find out how to find those, especially using your tool. And then your professional data. Now, if anybody has questions on other things that you want Ben to cover, he says he's got a couple things if there's time. So if there's a market you want to understand that we're not covering, I think Ben can help us tonight. So Ben, I'm going to let you take it from here, but I do want to understand, how do you fit with all the other data companies? Where are you? Are you at the top? Are you in the middle? If I'm a real estate professional, and obviously I'm a lender, but I'm also an investor, what is the product and why do we want to buy it at CoStar, and what your competitors are?
I could listen to you talk all night long. I gotta tell you,
Oh,
you really just captivate my attention. So, a bit about CoStar and where we fit into this whole shebang. So we've been in business for over 35 years now, have over a $32 billion market cap. We're definitely the big gorilla in the space in terms of commercial real estate data. And today, what I'm going to do, as you were saying, we're going to cover a couple workflows. We're going to cover exactly what CoStar is, the entire group, how we procure our information, because that's the real big takeaway. And for everyone who's joined tonight, I want to thank you so much in advance for your time and attention. It's a pleasure to meet all of you. And I look forward to speaking with you. And if you have one takeaway from tonight, my takeaway that I would hope you have is a clear understanding of how CoStar gets our data and why our data is the best. Everything else, that's all fine. We can talk for hours and hours and go through all the things we can do with this tool. We can get very specific on individual deals. But for tonight, the understanding needs to be how great this data is and how you can leverage it. Sound good?
awesome.
Fantastic. So, for starters, just to get everyone nice and excited and warmed up, I got a couple slides. If you can't tell, I talk pretty quickly already. So, they'll be brief and then we can get right into the tool. So, let's just see. Can we see Zoom at 8, CoStar, the power of knowing?
You got it. We are
No,
ready to roll.
it's not my tagline. I do really like it though, the power of knowing. I definitely agree with it. So let's just walk through who is CoStar, who are we, what exactly do we do? So we have a 36-year track record of successful partnerships with our clients. If you see on the screen right now, 5,500 team members, we're actually closer to 6,000 now. That is going to be one of the biggest differentiators between us and our competitors, because what we are at our core is a research company. Our mission statement, paraphrasing a little bit, is to digitize the world's commercial real estate. We are taking the apartment building that I'm in right now, your office building, your grocery store, and anything and everything there is to know about it, we are digitizing it. And we're going to walk through what those key data points are shortly. Another thing to note, those 30 brands in the space, I'm sure many of you are very familiar with some of our other brands. Perhaps you found a deal on LoopNet, or perhaps you're an apartments.com advertising client with us now, or have seen Brad Bellflower, the Jeff Goldblum ads. But those brands are a very, very important part of what we do and this platform that we're going to be discussing tonight. So, our international reach, right now, we're all across North America. In the next 5 or so years, we're hoping to be totally global with having this sort of information all across the world. So, some of these brands I had mentioned. So, one of the ways we get our data, which we'll discuss, is those 6,000 employees. About 2,000 of them are dedicated researchers, which we'll dive into a little bit more shortly. But as to these brands, if something gets traded on LoopNet or apartments.com, or is involved in the hospitality space, we pull all of the transactions into this tool. So these are real verified transactions that come through. So moving on a bit, a couple of our brokerage firms that we partner with, many owners partner with us as well. So we're working with really everyone and everyone there is in the space. So now in regards to our research and technology. So we have 1,500, nearly 2,000 researchers, and their primary role is to collaborate with folks who are our clients and aren't our clients to verify key data points. We also have our data input directly from brokers and owners just like you, because many folks will want to advertise their listings within CoStar so it can be found by other brokers. We have over 300,000 users. And then we also receive data feeds from other providers and integrate that data into the CoStar platform. So we procure all of the commercial real estate data. We're going to find out who the true owner is on a property. We're going to have an understanding of a comp. We're going to know tenant information and so forth. But what you're seeing on the screen right now are a couple additional tools that many of our clients have recommended to us over the years. So, for example, like First American is our public record integration. So we have a whole public record tool right within CoStar. Preqin is our new fund data set, which is incredibly exciting. It's not on for tonight's agenda, but if anyone's interested in a follow-up meeting, you can use that information to identify private equity funds that are raising or perhaps even liquidating rather shortly their commercial real estate assets. And as Julianne was saying earlier, it is the full picture. We're touching everything. So multifamily for us, what that means is 5 units and up. So anything 5 units or more, we have key information on it, along with retail, hospitality, office, industrial, and a couple other secondary types as well. We've also recently integrated STR's industry leading hospitality data, which includes 250 hospitality specific data fields and over 90,000 new properties with enhanced hospitality capability. So now actually for what's in the tool. So we have data on over 7 million properties and nearly a million active listings. Those active listings are properties that are being marketed for sale or for lease within our platform. However, there's still another 6 million or so off-market opportunities for unsolicited offers. We're also flying over the market, monitoring what's under construction and what's under development, which is, of course, incredibly relevant as well. Like if we're talking about the deal that Aurea was discussing in Tennessee, it'd be very relevant to know about what's being built in the area. So we're monitoring that for you. And additionally, we're monitoring the market in terms of transactions. So this is very useful for two reasons. First off, to make sure that when you're getting a property sold and investing in it, you have an understanding as to what those sorts of assets are trading for in the market. But additionally, you'll have information as to who's buying and selling and at what price points, which is very, very powerful information. And of course, as I'm sure you're all familiar with at Zoom at 8, real estate is a industry. It's a relationship business. And with CoStar, the whole world's your Rolodex. You're going to have information on over 2 million real estate owners and over 21 million industry professionals. A little bit less pertinent to the kind of multifamily focus overall of the group, but we do have a brand new tenant data set that is incredibly exciting. If you want to see every single Dunkin' Donuts in and around the United States, if you're a Massachusetts person like me, you can do that right from CoStar, which I always enjoy. And we also have incredibly powerful analytic reports and forecasts. We're tracking data on over 15,000 markets with over 60,000 forecast scenarios. And we also have a very, very in-depth market economist and analyst team that's going to be providing unbiased opinions on this sort of information. So what does it lead to? The most accurate, comprehensive, and timely platform of commercial real estate information. So I had promised not to be too fast or not too long on those slides. How'd I do?
You did great. Well
Do we have
done.
any, thank you very much. Before we get into the tool, before we get to the good stuff, questions, comments, concerns, what did I leave unturned?
Well, I think I heard something about the pricing that was being paid for these assets. Now, in Texas, that is a non-disclosure state. So how does that work?
That is a fantastic question. And the answer I would give you is our research team does their absolute best that they can to procure that information. What we find is many of our partners in Texas are very supportive because despite the fact that they don't have to disclose, there is some advantage to doing it because the truth is, if you want information, many of our clients understand that it's beneficial to kind of contribute to this ecosystem that we have so graciously curated for them as opposed to holding out. I will tell you, look, it is data. Data is live. We procure this ourselves. I will never sit here and tell you that every data point is perfect. The nice thing, though, is that it's the best data. Data, it is changing right now. And the nice thing as well is I'd mentioned that research staff of over 2,000 folks. So every single client every single property and every single tenant all have an assigned researcher. So let's say Roger or Derek onboarded with CoStar. Derek, your account would come with two people. One of me, who is here to help you understand how to use the tool, help you navigate searches. I routinely work as a consultant for my clients. Well, like routinely will help them like underwrite deals. But at the same time as well, you'll get a researcher. So let's say you're interested in 123 Main Street and you call the number and that line goes dead. You're not screwed. We're here with you every step of the way. We're going to go out and get you a new number. Celine, that's a fantastic question. How recent is the data and how often is it updated? So we are trying to update those 7 million properties at least once every 30 days. And then from there, it really factors into how much things are moving and how things go live. So if a property gets sold, we're tracking it and we're updating it. And then when client requests come in, if you want something updated, we go in and refresh it. But what I would say is the general standard is ideally every 30 days.
Now, I do want to point out something. I don't think you covered it, but you've got 2,000 researchers. That's a lot of researchers. And if you think about some of the other companies out there, I'm not going to say Reonomy or Yardi Matrix, but those are common ones that are out there that people use. They don't have that kind of force to get this data. So again, your data is just as good, or you are just as good as the data is, right? So you
Yeah,
want to have, you know, a lot of people pulling in this information. So that's another reason why you'd want to, support CoStar.
thank you very
That's
much.
sure. That's all the questions I had. Was there anybody else that wanted a
I got a quick
question before we
question.
go?
Sure.
Yes.
I got a quick question, Ben. Is there any plans in the near future to break BTR or BFR into its own product class? Because that's one thing that we do find very little data for out there. It just
Um,
gets clubbered in there with the multifamily, and it's not necessarily the same thing.
I don't know off the top of my head, admittedly, and I'd rather not give you an incorrect answer. I'd be
Okay,
more
no
than
worries.
happy to look into that and get back to you on that.
Sounds great. Just asking.
Of
Thanks.
course, hey, please. I love questions. If you can't tell, I'm very, very shy. So can everyone see CoStar?
Yes.
Isn't she pretty today? So right now, so another thing with CoStar, we have our own in-house news team, former editor in chief of the Washington Post. So down the left is local news, local to me in New York. Down the middle is national news, and to the right, these are some of our signature advertisements on LoopNet. Always happy to have a conversation about LoopNet as well. So if we scroll on through, we see all the news. You could see a photo of me one day if we ever become really good friends, and then this is where your researcher is right here. So as we go through, we break down the data in a couple different ways. We break down the data in terms of properties, leasing, sales, funds, tenants, professionals, markets, and public record. So if you're looking for a data point, you're probably going to want to enter at the very first point that makes the most sense to you. So the three things we're going to be covering today, we're going to cover markets. We're going to cover deal sourcing and we're going to cover a professional directory. The reason we're covering markets, of course, many people from here are from all across the US, but additionally, we can now do deals all across the US with CoStar. So I'm going to start in markets and I'm going to click right in. And what's going to happen, and everything in CoStar, we can break down into multiple different types of assets. Of course, tonight we're going to be focusing on multifamily. But if you wanted to right here, we could do office, industrial, retail, student, hospitality. So if you're doing any sort of deals in these sorts of sectors, definitely still relevant. So right now on the multifamily side, we are tracking nearly 400 multifamily submarkets. These star buttons up here, this is a CoStar rating, very similar to a A-class property or a B-class property. It's our own metric we use to be able to compare assets from different locations because Class A in New York is different than Class A in Texas, for example, or Iowa or where have you. So right now, as you can see, we have all these key KPIs like number of inventory units under construction, vacancy, and so forth. So before we get into filters and all the information we have on this, I'm going to go to what I call the spreadsheet. So I'm going to put this into what we call list view. And the reason list view is so powerful is because we can look at all of these markets in a blink of an eye. We're looking at New York, we're looking at LA, we're looking at Washington, and we're seeing key statistics. We're going to understand how many units are under construction right now. Does anyone know off the top of their head where there's the most units under construction in the United States? No, no pressure, but
Austin.
Austin, you think Austin's got the most units under construction? Let's see. I didn't check before. We're gonna see what CoStar. Very close, actually. Austin was third, but very, very good. So right now we're seeing New York has the most units under construction, followed by DFW, Austin, Phoenix, and then Atlanta. So you can use this information very, very easily. And all I had to do to see that was just click of a button. If I want to see where the highest annual rent growth was, click of a button, we go right here and we see Odessa, Texas has the highest year over year annual rent growth. So now you're saying to me, Ben, that's great. It's great we can see these KPIs, but I don't know anything about Odessa, Texas. I certainly didn't know anything about Odessa, Texas before I worked at CoStar. Let's click in. So right
Oil and
now,
gas. Oil and gas is what you
oil and
think about.
gas. Yeah. So right here, and as you can see, one of 396. So all of these numbers up top are updated live whenever something new enters the platform. These numbers will not be the same tomorrow. These write-ups are done quarterly. So our team of analysts and economists will look back at the past quarter and get an understanding as to what's been going on in the market. So just a brief scroll through here, and also we can generate reports very easily. When we go through this summary, so vacancy in Odessa, it's 11.7%, decreased 1% year over year, 130 units have been absorbed, 24 units have been delivered. Rents are around $1,200 a month, an 11% increase. Nothing under construction, and there's only been 3 sales over the past year. But it's a growing market. Population growth and employment are both increasing. So as we go through here, we can see at this market versus the national index year over year. We can look at the inventory in the market and so forth. So here's all of these key KPIs to help you get a key understanding as to what's going on in the Odessa, Texas multifamily market. As we go through here, as these KPIs, we can go back in time and we can adjust for inflation as well to kind of get an understanding as to where things were at various periods. But one thing that I really like to look at is this CMBS right here, is we can get an understanding of the origination balance of loans coming due and the number of loans in the area. So we can track these loans and actually look for places where there are loans coming due. On the sales side, it's a mid-sized apartment market relative to the rest of the country. There hasn't been a lot of sales activity here, but we're seeing close to $100,000 a door. And if we go right in here on the click of a button from the chart, we can actually look at this historically, and we can see where this was year over year and so forth. So I see a couple questions in the chat. So one second. Sorry, I just got to catch up on those. Oh, heavy. Oh, desolate. That's funny. Oh, desolate. Wow. Yeah, I guess I really don't know too much about Odessa. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's funny.
It's not a great market. It is an opportunist, would go there for a short period of time and then they're going to fall off the wagon because it just dries up as quick as oil and gas. So in my opinion, move along. Let's find out a place where, hey, we should be making some thoughts about bringing on, what about Grand Island, Nebraska? I mean, Grand Island, Nebraska, by the way, is a great market. I mean, Lincoln, Omaha, great markets.
Yeah, absolutely. So if I wanted to find a market that I think would be a good place for me, the first thing that I would do is I would look for a certain number of units under construction, and then I would check with population growth and I would try and find that gap. That's what I would do. So if, for example, if we wanted to see right here, if we wanted to see market rent unit growth or market rent per asking unit, like let's say we wanted only say we wanted at least $1,000 a month in unit rent right here. That'll cut down to 302 markets, and that's currently. And then if I wanted to cross that with under construction units, let's say I wanted to buy something or develop something, let's see, show me everything with under, I don't know, under 20,000 units under construction. Let's see what we get. And then right here, that will give me 287 markets. My parameters could be a little stricter. Maybe let's see something under 10,000 units. Now let's see if we bump this up. Let's see what we get. So this is how you can use this to get targeted in terms of your specific outreach. So now we have 82 markets we're looking at, and the filters that they have on currently are the minimum 1,500 market asking rent per unit, and there's no more than 10,000 units under construction within these markets. So if you wanted to go through here Now you're looking at markets where perhaps we've identified a market inefficiency. And if you wanted to use this information, you can get up to speed on any of these markets in a blink of an eye.
Mm-hmm. Now, is there a way to find out if there's disposable income as well? Do you have
Yeah,
a
absolutely.
selection or a filter for that?
Yeah, so what we do right here, let me see, add filter. We can go to economy and we can use all these filters right here. So we can go by minimum household income growth, total consumer spending, disposable
Disposable
income.
income. Could we put 90,000 in there?
Sure. Let's see, where did that go? Disposable income,
There it is.
minimum. Let's see what we get. But we
None.
also have our other ones on right now, though. So let's see what else we get, though. It's you always got to clear your search. So let's see. Let's see if there's anything under 90,000 in disposable income. Let's take it to 60,000.
Wow.
Forecast.
Well, that's okay.
But yeah, but yes, you can filter for those sorts of things. As you could see with all the different filters we have, median household income or household income growth, you can use all of these things to get a quick understanding as to what your next market should be. So that's a little bit about the markets. Does anyone have any other questions before I go on to the deal sourcing?
Well, can you give us the top 20 markets?
Top 20 markets? Well, I mean, that's just based on how you would identify it. So I mean, if we
Let's
wanted to go through
identify it.
here,
Let's give us
sure, let's do it.
we'll do
Yeah.
one.
What sorts of key KPIs would you say would make your top 20 markets? Job growth, population growth, median household income?
Let's hear from the group. Guys, what do you guys want him to look up? Speak up, Paula. What would you like him to identify? Top 20. I think population growth is good.
Yep. Population growth is good. Jobs increasing is good.
Rent increase.
Disposable income. Well, I'm in Austin, so rents have decreased.
Mhm.
So maybe the submarket of certain larger cities outside
Sure.
of Dallas, for example.
I'm actually happy you said submarkets because we've been talking about these 400 markets or so. And this is with CoStar, our demographic data is at the market level. But what we can do now is let's say we're looking at population growth and let's see some markets that are interesting here. I know Boise is one that people have been interested in. I know that Austin is, of course, popular. Could look at Orlando, and then we could look at, let's say, Charlotte, perhaps Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, and let's say Atlanta. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to remove everything but that, right? And then now
What about Huntsville? I know it
sure.
sounds weird, but Huntsville, Alabama.
Huntsville. Let's see, was
You
that
have
right
anything
here?
on there?
No, I'm sure we have Huntsville, unless it's a submarket. Huntsville, Alabama. Let's see. And there's Huntsville.
Here we
You
go.
ask and you shall receive, Miss Paula. So what we could do now, so we see these 8 markets right here. And right now they are currently sorted by population growth. So of these markets, we see Boise is the leader. We see Austin, Texas. But what we can do now is let's actually compare this with percentage of construction of inventory. So if I go here, what we've done is we've based our parameters on a certain statistic, but now we're changing it. So we're seeing that Huntsville, Alabama has 16% of its inventory under construction right now. So let's say, Paula, that would be the key market we want to go into. When we go into here, right, I can go to the sub-market button and we can get even more specific. So if you want to talk about Huntsville, what we can actually do now is we can get into Huntsville and they will break down all of Huntsville for us into these things. And you can keep going down the rabbit hole to know exactly where you're going to be looking to invest. So what we could see now is within Huntsville, Alabama, the Madison Airport market is the highest asking rent per unit. If you want to click right in on that, it'll tell you everything you need to know about that submarket. Um, any other questions?
Vacancy rate is not very good there. So, I mean, the data really will drive these again. Give you the information to make some good decisions. So again, top 20 markets. Let's just get to look at that. We've got population growth, we've got job growth, we have rent growth, we've got vacancy decreasing, new units absorption. What other details would you?
Ben, what are those red dots? Are those negatives for the
Oh,
rents?
so that's a great question. Those are just the ones that we have selected right now. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's a great question though. And it's funny because with the tool, it really is so sophisticated and there's so much to really see and go through here.
Yeah.
And it's actually a really good segue. So I do have a funny story. It was my first day on the job. And is anyone here colorblind? It's relevant, I promise. Anyone? Okay, because one thing you can do with CoStar is you can toss on these heat layers to kind of look at markets in that similar way. So if we wanted to go to multifamily and just see, I don't know, buying power potential. I was working with one of my clients, helping him go through these heat maps for 5 minutes before he told me that he couldn't see colors. So now I always check. But anyhow, so in terms of deal sourcing and identifying properties with loans coming due, what we can do right now is anywhere in the US. I'll zoom out real quick and we can just do the greater tri-state area. If I go to property type and go to multifamily, we can look for a deal of any sort of unit size we'd like. We could do 5 units, we can do 200.
Could we
Yeah.
look at another area instead of New York? Because we're not
Sure,
buying
yeah.
in New York. So let's go
Sure.
to Atlanta.
Atlanta sounds good to me. One thing that I just want to point out as well is see how easily we can just navigate through all this, and we can just be in New York, and now we're in Atlanta, easy peasy. So if I could direct everyone's attention to the top right of the screen, you see that right now we're tracking 32,000 properties and 381 spaces. So on the map, all of these blue diamonds are properties being marketed for sale or for lease. All of these gray diamonds, for all intents and purposes, that's an off-market opportunity. That's a property that we have information on that you can start doing deals with. So right now, if we wanted to look at a specific unit size, let's say maybe everything 25 and up, the list is going to cut down to 15,000, just like that. Click of a button, we slice them all out. And if I go to filters, there's a million and one things we can filter for. And we can be filtering for properties of certain sizes, when they were last sold. We can go when they were renovated. But the one that we're going to discuss today is this loan. So this is specific to commercial mortgage-backed security loans. So this is not every loan under the sun, but I think 300,000 is plenty to sift through. So if I go to active and I go to maturity date in the next 3 years, and then I go to balloon maturity. What we have done just now is on this map in Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama, there are 748 deals with at least 25 units and up that has a ballooning loan payment coming due in the next 3 years. And with those interests,
can we change that
yeah,
to 18 months?
Sure. We absolutely can. In the next, let's see. So 18 months from now would be what, like end of 2025?
Yeah.
Wow, 2025. Who would have thought? Oh, I think I have that backwards actually. That's excuse me. 2025. And then let's go to 2023. Here we are. 585 deals coming due in the next 18 months.
Not bad.
So
what if it were less than 18, say 6?
Sure. 113. Plenty of them in this Atlanta area as well, I might add.
Sheesh.
So right now, if I'm going to click in one of these, let's say, for example, this 50 Marlowe Drive in Lawrenceville, Georgia, the Durant Sugarloaf, a 300-unit property with it's a 3-star rating built in 1999. We have 31 images of this property. When I click in here, we have a lot of information on every one of these properties. First off, we're going to know the units, how large, when it was built, the current vacancy, the current asking rent per unit, the asking rent per square foot. We're going to have an understanding of the unit mix. We're going to know when it was last sold. We're going to get an understanding as to the building and the amenities it has, units per acre. We're also going to be able to compare this property against market. We're going to get an understanding as to how it's performing on its own. As we go through here, This is the good stuff right here, the CMBS loans. We're going to have information on their current balance, on their origination balance, how they're covering on the loan. We're going to have all of these key KPIs to get an understanding as to how it's currently performing. And what this will allow you to do is it's funny, one of my clients referred to this almost like cheating. It's everything you would need to know to decide if you want to move forward with the deal. And here's the pretty part of this. When I go to contacts right here, we're going to know exactly who the true owner is. And the true owner of this one is Starwood. They're a REIT. And if you wanted to get in touch with them, you have their contact information right here. We can get in touch with Sean. We have John P's email, his LinkedIn, and his phone number. He's right there. He is right here if you want to go get him.
That is robust.
Yeah, and what's nice as well is we also have the historical changes in any sort of property, so we'll get an understanding if there's a change in property management, if they've done any renovations. You can do all of your due diligence from within this tool.
Where was the screen you said owner and true owner? Where's that?
That's this contacts button right here.
Okay, true owner and wow. Does it have any documents from the last sale, like the OM or rent roll or anything?
Let me see. That's a great question. And also, I saw another great question in the chat. So if we go right here, someone had asked if we could sort by debt service coverage ratio. Yes, you can. You can absolutely do that. I have many clients who what they'll do is they'll put a max of 1 and they'll just say, let's see who's below that number, who's not covering. So let's see.
Delinquent,
Transaction details.
that would be your delinquent
Yes.
ones.
Yeah.
That's how you would identify it as.
Well, so there's a couple different ways because look, so just to break down all the different ways we can break down the loans, we can look for single collateral versus multiple. We can ensure that it has certain commentary, financials, or bankrupts. We can look at pay status, which is unperforming, delinquent, maturity, foreclosed. We could look at the watch list, which I really enjoy because it has some commentary on there. But we can filter specifically based on origination date, current balance of the loan, origination, most recent debt service coverage ratio. So if, for example, let's just say I'm going to take off this 18-month range, and I just wanted to see everyone who's under 1 right now, who's not performing, I can go in and show you what that looks like. So right here, for example, the Columbus Gardens, 116 units. When I go here to this loan, what we're going to see when we go through update September 23, they're less than 1 right there. And that's why this populated. This loan is coming due July 1st, 2026. And the nice thing too is that per the terms of their loan, they have to self-report their financials. So as you can see right here, we have a balance statement. This one's a bit outdated. However, it's still incredibly relevant as to how this property has been performing. And of course, if you need something updated, you know where you go? You go to contacts and you just shoot Dave a note. Hi, Dave. Looking for an updated balance sheet here. Thanks. That's it. It's that easy. Does anyone have any questions before I continue?
Come on now. Don't be afraid.
Don't be shy. Hit me with it. I'm not going to have everything. You know, I am all ears. You just don't ask my middle name. No, I'm kidding. It's Nathan.
Does it
Hey,
have
Ben.
any FEMA information on it?
The what information, Paula?
FEMA, like hurricanes, floods.
Oh, there actually is a bit of information on that. Yeah, flood risk right here, FEMA.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's pretty good, right?
Can we get a group right under Julianne Peterson?
Exactly. That's what we're going to talk about later. All right. Anybody have any questions? This is really valid information that could be used so powerfully in making some decisions or calling people. Now, that's always kind of a challenge, but if you have a VA that you work with, you can unleash them and they can just start calling, right? Really strong tool here.
Yeah.
All right. Let's keep going. Ben?
Hey, Julie, I actually had a question. I might need your help to help me. And hi, Ben. Just want to say that CoStar absolutely is a great tool to have. I actually have got a taste of it before. I have only a few question that it might not be I don't know if I'll put it in words, but I hope that you can understand what
You
I'm trying
got
to
this.
say
I
and
trust
help
you.
me. Thank you. As we are with this economy that is moving quickly, everything. So I'm wondering, when you guys get some of the data, do you use like third parties data, for example, job growth? Do you use the census or like, the bureaus that are out there for some of those datas.
You
And the concern for me is that if you do, like, I'm trying to understand the relevance and this, some of those might not be completely accurate, but, are you worried about this or how do you, see this?
It's a fantastic question, and I think I have a strong understanding as to what you meant. So, what you're
Thank you.
pretty much asking, correct me if I'm wrong, what you're looking to see is our third-party data sources, especially on the sort of demographic or economic side. Where are we getting this from, and how do we know it's strong? Is that correct?
Yep. Yep.
Got it.
Correct.
Okay, so I covered some of that in the PowerPoint earlier. I could double check. I don't want to give you the wrong one off the top of my head, but we're using generally industry leading economic and demographic data. The key value prop here is that those data sources exist on their own, like Preqin, for example, on the fund side. That has its own application. There are people in the private equity world who need Preqin for things not related to real estate. The value proposition of having CoStar in conjunction with these third parties is that you get to look at this information through the lens of commercial real estate. So I understand your question, and I actually I should follow up with you after the fact as to who are those third party data providers are, especially on the economic side. But the value to you is being able to compare it with the asset. Does that make sense? Did I answer that?
Yeah, no, that does make sense. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I do my best.
Could you
Hey,
could
Ben.
you go back to the screen where the lenders are, Ben, please, just on any example?
Sure. On the loan.
Mhm.
Does it have information about, oh, I see it. The servicer of the debt.
Yeah.
Key bank
But again, this is only
institution.
for CMBS, so it's not going to have every loan under
Yeah.
the sun. Thought I heard one more question.
Yes, Ben. I have a question. Could you go a little bit more into detail how you guys calculate market and sub-market absorption rates
Yeah, so I would have
for
to probably refer you.
multifamily?
What do you
Yeah,
say?
for multifamily.
For
Yeah.
multifamily, yeah. So that's just really on our research side of how they're doing that in terms of they're looking at that historically, but then we also have that team of market analysts and economists who are actually doing the forecasting and reviewing the information. One nice thing as well is that similar to how I was saying earlier, you get a account executive to help you navigate the tool and a researcher, but a very popular perk is that many folks will get to set up calls with their analysts to actually discuss their opinions on the data and kind of talk that information through. Of
That's very, very valuable.
Thank you.
course, absolutely. So, with the last couple minutes we got, I know we are all looking to network all over the country, and that's why I want to cover our professional directory. So, right now, I know everyone's looking to do multifamily deals, but where, how? I mean, I'm in New York. I'm aspiring one day to do my first deal, so hopefully this won't be my last Zoom at 8. But what I'll tell you is I don't know any good brokers in Columbus, Ohio. I just don't. I haven't met them before. I wouldn't know where to start. So what I could do is I could come into this CoStar professional directory and I'm going to go to this button that says deal makers. And this is getting a facelift at the end of the year. We're always updating the product. But if I go right now and I want to search for contacts or companies, either or, and I want to go to investment sale brokers whose offices are located in the state of Ohio, I can scroll right through here. I can go to Ohio. And then I just want to see every single one who's done one deal in the last year. And I want it to be multifamily. And then I want to make sure also those deals were located in Ohio. With a click of a button, show me Ohio.
It takes a while.
The professional directory, I'm very excited for the facelift. This is one of my favorite parts of the tool, and I'm so excited for it to look pretty. So, as you can see right here, 215 contacts. It seems like our boy George Scaff over at Newmark has been killing the multifamily investment sales game in Ohio. And if I wanted to get in touch with him, all I would need to do is I could click right here And what it's going to give me is information on George. I'm going to have his office. I'm going to have his phone number. I'm going to have his email, all this right here. And what we're going to see also is what he has for sale right now. We're going to get an understanding as to what deals he's been doing. And you can use this information to get in touch with people who can help you do deals. And it's from all over the country. So I thought this would be a really important thing to highlight as well.
So Ben, I got a question.
Sure.
Your product slices and dices and does everything that we would ever want to do. What's it going to cost me? How am I going to get put into this thing? And I know it's very dependent on what I want. I'm sure that you guys have it customized or different packages and things, but I think the majority of us are relatively small multifamily syndication sponsors that, like, generally. I'm sure there's some investors here too, but that's kind of what we're talking about is, a couple of partners looking for 100-unit deals, 2 a year or something like that. So, big brokerage, it's obvious for them. It's a slam dunk, but for us, it's a little harder to squeeze that in. So how's that work?
100%. It's a great question. So what you just saw is the one product, except for a couple other niche products I have, something I'm on the real estate manager side and something on lender. This is the CoStar Suite product. This is what the 300,000 brokers, owners, and investors are using every single day for deal source. And this is it. However, in terms of pricing, how it generally works is, of course, it wouldn't be right to charge an individual broker the same thing we're charging Blackstone. That wouldn't make much sense. So it's based on who you are, what you do in your portfolio. What I can tell you is that the lowest entry point is generally a couple $100s per month, and it can scale up from there. Generally, what we're seeing, though, is usually if it's a pretty large investment, it usually means that you're sitting pretty good. And what we see as well is that the majority of our CoStar users, first off, save countless hours through time and research. Like in less than an hour today, we identified hundreds of investment opportunities, monitored multiple markets, and identified how many different contacts we can get in touch with. But the other thing we're seeing on top of all that time saved and time you get back into your life or in your business is we're seeing them do an extra deal a year. So if you could tack on one extra deal a year for a couple $100 a month, that's a trade that, every one of our clientele makes every day. However, if you'd be interested in getting a quote for you and what you do, what we could do is we could set up some time and I could introduce you to your local rep and they could price you out and take you from there.
Great. Yeah, it really is true what you're saying too, because in terms of saving time, that's a big one. So check this out. Just like recently, I bought a list, all this, distressed properties kind of thing. I put my VA on it. I'm getting information and, putting all the effort in, working on all this stuff. And then, like you said, for a couple $100, I've got it right at my fingertips everywhere. And so there aren't it's not segmented for, I only want Atlanta or some other kind of thing. You guys just pretty much have one product with different pricing depending on your volume.
Exactly. Yep. And
Okay.
it's funny. We used to do things broken down by geography, but what would happen is that first off, it didn't really fit our business model because it became very difficult to service. Like someone take me in New York, for example, tons of people operate in Jersey. So you could have people who are based in New York, but want to operate in Jersey. And then what we would see is once people started adding 3 submarkets, it would just cost more than the whole country. So it just didn't make sense for anyone because unless you really only did commercial real estate in your neighborhood, chances are it'd be cheaper for you to have the whole country. Awesome.
Well,
in them ways. Yeah.
I think that, if you're at all thinking about how this tool can help you, I think a conversation and a demo for you, where you're at, what you need would be super helpful. Ben is super talented to show us all this information, but how is it relevant to your business is really something that you need to start to be thinking about and having those conversations. So CoStar has a huge group of sales and marketing people that can certainly tailor it to what your needs are. I want to thank you. Is there anybody in the house that has a question before Ben wraps it up?
Yes, I have one more question, Julie.
Sure.
Ben, I've been a user of your product for several years now, and I love it.
Thank you for your business.
And thank you guys. With the recent, progression with AI, I'm sure you guys working on some integration with AI, and I wanted to ask you if you guys have something that's you're planning to integrate with CoStar or coming online anytime soon. I wanted to ask you if you could speak a little bit about that.
That is a great question. And what I will tell you is CoStar has been utilizing AI for quite some time in terms of our data procurement and in terms of scraping the web and things of that nature. Internally, what we're primarily focused on is scaling nationally and adding additional data sets. And without getting too spoilery, I don't know if anyone saw that a homes.com recently hit 100 million active viewers, which is incredibly big for us. And hopefully down the pipeline, maybe we'll be able to tackle deals under 5 units. So there's a lot of exciting things in the works. AI is definitely going to be a very big part of it, but I don't think it's the number one focus at this time, at least at the end user area. And thank you very much for your business as well, Tim.
Thank you.
Of course.
All right. Well, if there's no other questions, I want to thank you, Ben. You're a treat to have here, just to listen to you. I love it. You're so knowledgeable of the product and services that you provide through that product. So how would somebody get a hold of you, or how would you want somebody who's interested in getting a demo, how do they reach out to you?
That is a great question. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to drop my name, email, and phone number in the chat, and my LinkedIn as well. Call me, text me, literally whenever. I live and breathe this stuff. Being on a call like this at night is it's very par for the course for me. So you're never going to bug me. I'm always happy to chat. If you're ever in New York, let's grab a cup of coffee, and always feel free to reach out. All right.
Well, fantastic. And he's telling the truth. This guy loves and eats and breathes this stuff. So it's a real treat to be around you.